Yo, Carrot Attack podcast for myself, Daps. Guys, keep liking, subscribing, sharing, all of that good stuff. So basically, yeah, those watching it looks like things are like I'm in a different place when really I'm just in a different part of my studio. I just couldn't be bothered to do the usual backdrop and everything. But we're here today in this little corner of my studio, quick video. And also those listening audio wise, yeah, it's going to look like I just uploaded a random podcast the other day. But obviously for you guys that listen via audio, I actually released like videos on YouTube, but I just don't put the audio out because I feel like the short 15, 20 minute ones that I do online, they're not audio worthy. But I'm just going to start putting everything out on audio. So that's why it might have looked a bit random. And you're probably thinking, where the heck has this guy been? But yeah. So guys, keep liking, subscribing, sharing, all of that. Where to start? To be honest, this weekend's football wasn't the greatest weekend of football, to be honest. You know, between Arsenal drawing away at Everton, which, let me tell you, that penalty was never a penalty. And do you know what? I'm going to start there, yeah? And I'm not saying this just because I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm saying it because I'm a lover of football and the standard of refereeing in this country is in the toilet. It's actually in the toilet because when you look at that penalty that was given against Miles Lewis-Skelly, and again, let's put biases aside. I know some of you are unable to do that, but when you put biases aside and you actually look at the penalty that was given, it was a poor penalty. And I saw something online about how referees are normal people that read the papers and whatever, or read what they see on social media and blah, blah, blah. And Miles Lewis-Skelly has now become someone whose reputation precedes him. And, you know, that penalty going against him, that referee, who was also the same referee that was in VAR when he got sent off against Wolves wrongfully, gave a bad decision. It was a horrible decision. You know it's bad when the team that gets the penalty even says, like, their fans even say, oh, that's never a penalty. Because, number one, it started outside the box. Then Jack Harrison just fell down inside the box without any contact, and he's given that penalty. And now, I'm not here to be like Arsenal, Liverpool, whatever. Again, biases aside, it was just never a penalty. And I feel like VAR is even at the point where it's just like, what are they doing? Because if they can give that as a penalty, then I don't know. When I first saw it, I'm not going to lie to you, I thought, oh, that's a penalty. So I understand why the ref gave it as a penalty, like when it first happened. But for VAR to look at that and confirm the decision, I just think that's just so poor, to be honest. And, you know, I can talk about refereeing decisions all day long, but I'm just going to choose to just not do it. I'm not going to be like, there's an agenda against Arsenal and whatnot, because we can all see it. And if you can't put your biases aside and see it, and it's not even just about Arsenal, it's biases aside and just seeing the horrible decisions that happen week in and week out. Do you get what I'm saying? And yeah, it's a shame really, because I'm going to sound like one of those people who's like saying the game that I love has gone. You know, those people that say that, I'm going to sound like one of them, because between the refereeing in the country and the overall standard of football, it's almost like a whole different game. I was talking to one of my boys this week, shout out Morris, and we were talking about how now everything is just so robotic, and it's going to take a team or a manager to be brave enough to just allow a team to just be free and to just express themselves, because now everything's so robotic, everything's about systems, everything's about profile, that the individuality of football is going, or the individuality of a player is going. Do you get what I'm saying? You can have the most creative. I'm going to use Odegaard as an example. Odegaard this season has been totally rubbed out. Arteta is rubbing him out. And I'll tell you why. All of this, you've got to play in this zone, you've got to play in this system, you've got to play with this profile. It's stifled him, and it's made him a shadow of the player he was and can be. So now what we're seeing a player that has to operate in confined spaces or confined parameters that Arteta has set for him, and it's not working for him. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, let him go back to being free. Arteta's that season when we first signed Jesus, Zinchenko, that season when we were free, and I get a lot of it has to do with teams playing low blocks against us now and everything. But that season, Odegaard was free. We were playing freedom football. But Arteta's gone so far to playing this rigid system that it stifled the team. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you cannot be so stubborn that you look at, and it's not just him, it's a lot of managers that look at, when it comes to player recruitment, they look at the profile of a player. He's got to fit into this system. He's got to be able to tick these boxes as opposed to what they can actually do. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's a major reason I believe that Arsenal aren't going to go in for like an Osimhen, because he doesn't fit the profile. Do you get what I'm saying? And I think sometimes you just need to go and get players that can just do the job, and you got to allow them to just play free, because that robotic way of playing, it can only take you so far. And I truly believe that's why even in like the Champions League, we saw Liverpool come up against PSG, and over the two legs, PSG just absolutely battered them. And, you know, PSG weren't playing with this rigid system. No, they got two old school wingers who one-on-one can get past their man and just wreak havoc. You can have all the system in the world, but if you've got players that can just go and get past their man and be the difference 1v1, listen, that's going to win all day long. And I just want us to be able to go back to that. Some might look at Arsenal and say, but Saka, he plays in the system. Saka is an outlier because Saka's just clocked the game. He's clocked what he needs to do in order to be productive in this with this way of playing. Do you get what I'm saying? And I don't know. You guys let me know what you think about that, because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of managers thinking that the best way to win a game is to just play with this system and whatever. And that's why as well, you get players who are playing in a system, and once you take them out of that system, they're not good anymore. Do you get what I'm saying? And not to sound like that old head, but back in the day, you could get any of these top players, put them in any team, and they're still replicating what they're doing because they were actually good players and they weren't reliant upon a system. Now, you look at like a Foden, who, even in Man City's system right now, he's not looking good, but Man City's system isn't working right now. That's a great point, if I do say so myself. So, but when this system's working, he looks like a world beater. Well, not to me, but to most people, he looks like a world beater. The moment you take him out of that team and you put him in like an England, we see what he does. A lot of these players, once you take them out of the system and the comfort of their club football, they can't go and replicate that elsewhere because the individual talent, individual brilliance has been coached out of them. So I'm a bit sick of it. You know, you're watching football nowadays, and all the matches, especially in the Premier League, are becoming more and more the same. It's more competitive, but it's not interesting. I look at the game today with Manchester United and Man City, and it was the most boring game ever. I tweeted midway through the first half, I'm like, this is one boring game. There's no one trying to take risks. There's no one trying to be the difference. There's no one trying to take the game by the scruff of the neck. It's just boring. You just got two teams playing chess, and they're not even that good right now to be playing chess. How about you just go and play to your strengths? It's not everything that requires a chess move. If Man City had gone out there and just, with the players they've got, played a free, expansive way of playing, they would have got Man United out of there. But likewise, if Man United released the brake and took off the handbrake and decided to go and attack Man City, they would have got a bit more joy. But instead, you're doing my chess against your chess, and it's boring. It's boring, mate. And it's interesting, though, because another conversation I do want to have, I was talking to my other boy, shout out Harold, yeah? And we were talking about Bruno, yeah? Right. So my thing with Bruno, yeah, and I'm saying this, and I'm going to invite H to come on and have his say, yeah? My thing with Bruno is that Bruno, he's obviously a talented player. But outside of goals and assists, I always say it's how you impact the game. And if you're not getting those goals, if you're not getting those assists, are you impacting the game now? Today, against Man City, he actually had a good game. I think he had a good game. So I'm not going to sit here and say he had a bad game, because he actually had a good game. Probably man in the match today. But performances like today, where all throughout the game you're trying to make an impact, I don't see enough of that from him. I'm sorry, I don't see enough of that from him. And the reason why I bring him up is because when your team needs you, in terms of a team player, I don't think he shows up enough. And I'm talking about over the course of his Man United career. I've seen too many times where he's just gone missing. Over the last couple months, it's been a bit better, but there's still games where you're just like, okay, cool. And my boy believes that, because he supports Liverpool, and he says the same about Szoboszlai. He's like, Szoboszlai is not it. And my thing is, it's like, I would much rather have Szoboszlai in my team than a Bruno. Not because of the talent or the individual brilliance, because we know Bruno has that. But in terms of over the course of the season, when chips are down, I just think that Szoboszlai is more of a team player. He helps the team way more. I remember it's a similar sort of conversation I had back in the day where I was just like, I prefer Willian over Hazard, not because of who's the better player, but just because at that time, Willian was giving more to Chelsea. Do you get what I'm saying? But again, I just felt over the course of a season, Szoboszlai will give more to the overall team game than Bruno. Bruno will have those moments where he gives you individual brilliance, but outside of those moments, you know, I just think Szoboszlai, he's contributing all throughout the game, both defensively and attacking wise. But it all depends what you're looking for from those players. And I think Slot, there's a reason why Slot keeps playing him, because he likes him. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, no, today's game was ridiculously boring. I do want to shout out Kevin De Bruyne though. Kevin De Bruyne has announced that, not that he's retiring, sorry, I was just about to say he's retiring, but he's announced that he's going to be leaving Man City at the end of the season. I think it's definitely Saudi or America. I think those are the only two places he's probably going to go. And for me, I just want to big him up on being probably one of the best. I'm not going to do it off the top of my head right now, but he could be the best Premier League midfielder ever. He could be. I want to say he is, but I don't want to do that in a moment. I need to really think about it. And I think over the course of his career, I think we've actually seen the last of the dying breed in terms of that generation of midfielder who actually backed up their reputation with it on the pitch. Do you get what I'm saying? And, you know, because again, I was talking about Bruno, and for Bruno's reputation, we don't see him back it up on the pitch at all. And this ain't even about Bruno, but we don't. Whereas you look at KDB, who's now going to be leaving, and over the course of his career, he has backed up his reputation. He has backed up the hype all the time. Even when there's people who, and you see them online, you see them on Twitter all the time. They won't admit it now, but you see them. They were always talking down on Kevin De Bruyne's thing. And for me, you know, he's the last of that generation, that ilk of player who actually that actually is world class and actually backs it up and isn't just a media hype job. Do you get what I'm saying? And you know, some might say, but he's playing in Man City team, but he's still got to do it. Many of the greatest midfielders, it's like, yeah, when people say Kevin De Bruyne, he's done it for Man City, but he did it in the best team. Okay, so we can only rate players when they're doing it for teams that aren't great. It makes no sense. So big up Kevin De Bruyne. Obviously, he's just getting on now. His legs are not there anymore. But Man City, their legs are not there anymore. And it's going to be very interesting to see. It's going to be very interesting to see how Man City actually like rebuild, because Gundogan is there. I don't know if Gundogan's going to be there next season, but he probably is. I think he's got another year, has he? I don't know. But his legs look like they're gone. You know, obviously Rodri's going to come back. What's Rodri going to be like when he comes back? We don't know. But then again, his game isn't based on the physical aspect of it. It's more up there. So he's probably going to be okay. De Bruyne's going. And then you've got the problem of Foden. You've got the problem of Foden because he, whether you like it or not, is a leader in that team, or should be looked at as a leader in that team. And I just don't see leadership qualities from him. I don't see leadership qualities on the pitch in terms of performances or even examples, or even by example. I think that there's a real big problem and people are catching on now. I mean, a lot of us we know about this Foden. We've seen it. But a lot of people are catching on now And like the media can only do so much before you really get found out. And Foden got dragged before the hour mark today. Didn't really do anything. Well, didn't do anything. And again, Gary Neville, who was waxing lyrical about him the other week, didn't say a word when he got taken off, because he knows deep down that you can't defend this for much longer. You can't. How can a player who is spoken about as, you know, one of the best talent this country has ever produced be putting in these performances week in, week out? It makes no sense, and it just goes under the radar. I've seen Cole Palmer. I was about to say Carlton Palmer. I've seen Cole Palmer go through a couple weeks of bad form, yeah, and people were talking about him in a mad way, like rubbing him out. Foden has done it the entire season, longer than that for me, to be honest, and not a word gets said about him. There's a small fraction of social media that know and will say anything, but the loudest ones are always just hyping him up, saying, no, this has to be done for him. He has to play in this way. The system has to be done. And it's just boring now, man. It's just boring. Like, yeah. So anyway, yeah, so where Man City go, I don't know. Liverpool lost today. I think that's their first Premier League loss in like 20-something games. So big them up, because that's a long way to go. That's a long stretch to not be beaten in the... 1 second. That's a long stretch to not be beaten in the Premier League. But to be honest, that has been coming. And Liverpool are lucky that they got the job done very early on, because they do look like they've run out of steam. They've looked like that the last couple of weeks. And even when you look at over the 2 legs with PSG, and when you look at the Carling Cup final, they do look like they've run out of steam a bit. And it doesn't matter, because they're going to win the league and they got the job done, sorry. But what I would say is that next season for Liverpool, and I'm not just, like, hear me out. Just hear me out when I say this. Next season for Liverpool is going to be very interesting, because yes, Slot has done a great job, and I've said this before, yeah, but ultimately he inherited a title challenging team. He's also been lucky or been fortunate that the top players in the team have played out of their skin this season. So not to take anything away from them, but it's just going to be very interesting to see how he fares when those players leave or when he has to rebuild himself. So I just want to see what Liverpool do next season, because he's done a good job. You know, Salah's played out of his skin. Van Dijk has been amazing this season. And Trent was good. Those are your 3 best players. And then you got McAllister, Graham. Like, players have been playing at their peaks this season. So if those players can't produce that again next season, which is going to be very difficult to do, and then also you've got a couple that might leave here and there, it's going to be interesting to see how Slot rebuilds. So let's keep an eye out on that one. Arsenal versus Real Madrid, man. I honestly can't see Arsenal progressing, but I'm hopeful. I'm going to keep hoping that they do. It's going to be very difficult. Obviously, there's no more Gabriel for that. Gabriel's out for the remainder of the season. Another injury that Arsenal have had, you know. And we can point fingers to him being overused and playing when he didn't have to play, but it is what it is. And Kiwior is going to be... He's going to be in for a tough time. Not just him, but Saliba. And I think Saliba's the one we also have to keep an eye on. Because when Gabriel's in the team, Saliba's more balanced and focused. And Gabriel doesn't allow him to keep up with certain things. And Gabriel bails him out a lot of the time, and they complement each other. But when Gabriel's out of the team, Kiwior and Saliba, you both got defenders that can only focus on their game. And they're not really like a partnership. It's more like, okay, I just need to make sure I do what I need. So it's going to be a lot. Madrid can be got at, but they've also got the talent. They've also got the know-how. And Champions League Real Madrid in these knockout stages is a different animal. So one good thing is that Saka's back. I need Odegaard to be Odegaard. I think a good thing is that Madrid don't just sit back. I can't see them just sitting back and doing a low block. So hopefully Odegaard gets the space to do what he can do. Martinelli has had a bit of a resurgence lately. I don't know what's going on with Martinelli. He's bringing out the skills. He's making an impact. And I'm just like, where has this guy been? Do you get what I'm saying? So we need a big game, a big game. I don't want to see Marina up front. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't want to see that at all. But yeah, we're gonna see, because if Marina's up front, that's easy food for Rudiger and whoever else plays at the back. It's easy food. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, they're not gonna run in behind. They're not gonna really dominate Rudiger. Like, that's easy food. So I don't know how it's gonna be, how it's gonna pan out. But if Arsenal play like we can play, then hopefully we can get something from that game. Also, and I'm gonna keep talking about this every week until something is done about it. Osimhen, I just don't understand why Osimhen is not in the conversation for a striker that Arsenal need. Like, you look at Gyökeres, because Gyökeres looks like he's front runner right now, and cool, great. But you look at Osimhen's scoring thing this week. I saw it's like 32 goal contributions in 30 games. Like, it's crazy. Like, he's on fire this season. He's one of the top strikers, and he has been season after season for much longer than Gyökeres. He's at the right age. Like, why is it that Arsenal aren't, like, why is he not in the conversation? Like, what am I missing? And I'm not just saying this because I'm Nigerian and whatnot, but can someone, honestly, I'm so lost here. Can someone please answer me why, when people are talking about the strikers that Arsenal should go for, Victor Osimhen isn't in the conversation? So just someone let me know. Let me know what it is, and then we can take that from there. But yeah, that's it for me, guys. I'm out, and yeah, in a bit, guys.